What's up, you guys? So those of you on the Warrior Trading channel that don't know, I bought this old fire station. I'm in a fire station here, which was built in 1900. This whole section was built in 1900. This was an addition. And you can see got all these bricks, and it's a huge project. But you know, this is kind of, when I think about the hole that I've dug myself over the last, well, really it was like 4 days of trading, $300,000 in losses. It kind of reminds me of this project in a way, which is that it's such a big project. Sometimes it can feel kind of overwhelming. How do I even tackle it? How do I even start it? Where do I start? And, you know, just like right over here, it's, you know, one brick at a time. I mean, as much as I might love to make back a huge, you know, $200,000, $300,000 in one day, if I start swinging for that, I'm gonna dig myself an even bigger hole. So, you know, there's a process of slowly rebuilding, and my son's kind of working on that right now with this little tower here that he's got. It's one brick at a time, one base hit at a time. I know. Yeah, I'll help you, yeah. So that's kind of gotta be the mentality right now, and the goal for this week is having discipline to follow the rules and be okay with one brick at a time and not try to swing for home runs and, you know, go for those grand slam type of trades that might, if it works, give me the chance to, you know, recoup all those losses. But if it doesn't work, dig the hole twice as deep. So kind of like a project like this, there's, you know, the right way to do it, and then maybe there's the quick way to do it. And I've owned this building now for over a year, and you know, I mean, we're doing it the right way, and I'm gonna rebuild my account the right way. Ultimately, it's kind of the only way. So anyways, that's my little intro to the recap here. Let's get into it and start talking about today's trades. What's up, you guys? All right, well, it's a red day recap. Today was not great. You know, I set an intention for today. I set a goal for today. And as soon as I was faced with the frustration of a big loss, I threw it out the window. And I just said, you know what? I'm just going to keep trading, and I'm just going to try to make back that loss. And I dug the hole deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. This is where it gets really disappointing. You know, this is where I feel frustrated, because I had an opportunity today. So just to give you some context, I started the day with some trades on Sino, which actually I traded a little bit later in the day as well. But in any case, had this nice move here. And I made a little bit of money on it on the first 5-minute candle to make a new high. That was a good setup. And I was like, nice, dude. That was good. That was solid. Took profit into the move, good. Added back a little too high, got stopped out. Not great. Back to flat, basically, on the day. Then I had a trade on Sava. Sava, no harm, no foul, but wasn't a good trade, didn't really work. And then we had OCGN. OCGN this morning was on the gap scanners. And it was our second leading gapper with 156 million share float, had 700 million shares of volume today, which is insane. And I screwed it up pretty bad. So I started, my first trade on it on the 1 minute chart was back in this area as it broke through the volume weighted average price. My first trade was right here. Not bad. Made about $700. Came back in, I want to say right around here as it broke through this level and was holding into the open. That's a little risky. I don't usually like to do that, but in this case, it was the right move. I was looking for the break of 970. The bell rang and this thing ripped. I made 20 grand. I was up $20,000 right there into that squeeze. We hit a high of 1088. Can't complain about that at all. That was very nice. It then drops back down here and it curls back up. It rips up to, at first it halts right here at 1167, then it goes up to here. And at this point, it was at this point that I was up 20,000. I then bought 4,000 shares here at 1395. Let's see, let me just pull up that order. Oh boy, all right, so I actually thought it was 1398, but it doesn't look like that would have been possible. But let me just check to see what it says it was at. So I bought at, where was this? Sorry, I'm just looking at these orders. You know what? I somehow managed to buy at a higher price at that time than actually is on my chart. I bought the top. Whatever. I mean, it's probably it was on the next candle. Whatever. Still, it's stupid. I bought the top. And and then it flushes here. And I added. So I went here from 97 to 4,000 shares. Now I've got 8,000. So cost basis comes down to about 1335, I believe. I don't remember what I tried to do there. I think I tried to sell it all on the halt resumption, maybe. I don't know. And I missed a couple orders here. Tried to trade that, small size, whatever. It was stupid. So added down here at 12, added at 1155. 1191, 1193. Tried to get some out as it popped back here up to 12, which was like right around this candle here, and then stopped out as it flushed down. And just like that, I went from up 20,000 on the day to break even. And I wrote right here in my journal, which really just documents my terrible trading today. Back to flat. This is the time to stop for the day and be grateful you're flat and not deep in the red. And I wrote that and I said, yeah. Who wrote that? Because you know I'm going to keep trading. And so then my next trade, I had a small winner on, I think it was AAME. Got myself back to up like $2,000, $3,000. And then I got back in, I had a stupid loss on AACG of $4,000. This was so dumb. Right here on this, I got in like right here as it was squeezing up for the break of 750, the break of the $0.50. And look at that. Once again, I'm in. Instant drop, $1 a share. Lost $4,000 on that. So now I'm down 1,000 on the day. I then went back to OCGN. And I was like, you know what? This is the one that's the most volatile. Let me just focus on this. Went back, and in the meantime, I lost on ENLV. I lost a little on ARYA. I mean, I lost on sort of a few. I went back to OCGN. And first, as it curls back up here, I was like, okay, added at 12, scaled up here for the break of this level here, 1238, full size position, boom, stopped out. My God, now I'm down 12,000 on the day. Comes back up here. I was like, okay, this looks like the one. A starter, add to full size, stop out again. Oh my God, are you kidding me right now? Now I'm down 17, or maybe it was a little bit more. Comes back up right here. And I was like, okay, this is the one. 30,000 shares long. It hits a high of 1240 and then drops to 1147. I stopped out. At that point, I was down 39,000 and totally emotionally hijacked, furious. Unbelievable. From time to stop, I'm break even to -5, to -7, to -15, to -37, -39, whatever. 37, 39. 39, because I made back 2,000 on CHCI. Next page. I'm just putting it out there, guys. I'm completely acknowledging that this is humiliating and I'm so embarrassed. I laid out a set of rules for today. And then the second the bell rang, the second I had my first loss, threw them out the window. Gone. Oh, that rule that I wrote down here about if you give back half your gains, stop, or if you're down 10,000, stop, or reduce share size out. Totally out the window. So then I flipped to my retirement account. And you know why I did that? Because with 30,000 shares, I ran out of buying power on OCGN in my main account. So I switched to my retirement account and bought 49,000 shares of OCGN. And on this move right here, finally we got it. Thank God I took profit off at 13 and didn't hold the whole thing for the move to 14 because it instantly rejected back to 1160. But that was a winner. That was in my retirement account, which is right here. I made 26,000 on OCGN. Actually, I think I made 35, and then I gave back some when we were doing, when I was doing some live trading for Warrior Pro students. Yeah, I did, because we had this move up here, and I tried to keep trading it, and I did make some back, and then I gave back what I made. So, anyways, back over. So at that point. On my first trade, I made 18,000. 18 and then up to 26 or whatever it was. So at that point, I was still red on the day. I wasn't back to flat on the day yet, but I did end up getting back to flat on the day. And then I had like all of these losses. And that was before I had the trade on AEI. So I lost on GovX. GovX hits the scanners. I jump in it for the break of 8, lost 5 grand. ARYA. I jumped in it for the break of 24. I stopped out at 22. It did end up going higher, a little bit later. But no, actually it didn't. I was in here at 24 and stopped out. I guess it went a little higher. OPGN. Bought for the break of 4 and then tried to go for the break of 430, 450, choppy, stopped out. BSQR, so just chop. My best trades were on OCGN. Unfortunately, I just also kept over trading it, and I just gave back what I made. So I was sitting down, I don't know, $20,000 when I first sat down to do my recap. I was like, yeah, I'm done for the day. And then. Someone's like, hey, AEI. I was like, is anything moving? Maybe we'll get a trade here in Power Hour. And someone's like, hey, AEI is halted. And I feel like these types of stocks for me, it's like right now. So first of all, let's just step back for a second. So I feel like I'm kind of in a place right now where, this big loss here, the frustration on OCGN, this has just, for me, been a crazy year. I don't know why I'm so, just struggling. But man, it was a terrible start to the year. So, just to kind of, again, lay some context around, what I'm kind of going to start breaking down. So, started one green day, gave it back. 1 step forward, 1 step back. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. 3 steps back. 1 step forward, 2 huge steps back, a $66,000 red day, green 10,000, and then 2 big green days. I was down over 100,000 on the year right there. That was the worst month I'd ever had. And coming out of that, I was like, okay, take your blue tape, your painter's tape, put it over your P&L, and stop watching your P&L while you're trading. Just focus on trading good quality setups. And for 4 days, in that third week there of January, I was able to bring down the emotions a little bit. And I had a couple of nice green days. And I'm not going to say for sure that those were days I was really, really disciplined. I can't say, at this point, I just can't remember. I might have hit max loss and kept trading, or I might have taken way too much share size, been stupid aggressive, and it just worked out. But that was that week. Going into the 25th, I took the tape back off because I was like, you had 4 good days. That was the goal. I kind of had a hard time trading without looking at my P&L. I felt like a pilot that didn't know his altitude. You know, how close to the ground am I? I have no context. I have no bearing. And that bearing is important because when I'm up a lot, that's when I start usually getting aggressive because I have a cushion. You know, or if I'm break even, I'm usually a little more conservative. So that was the beginning here of going into this roller coaster week, which was 2 weeks ago on GameStop. You know, ended up having a day here where I was up 200 grand, had a day here where I was up 500, almost 500. On this day, I was down 100, recovered it to up over 100, which is crazy. And then starting on Monday, February 1st, on this day right here, I was up 20,000. No, sorry. I was up about 60,000, maybe even 80,000, and then lost, I think it was 80, and then I lost 60 grand on GameStop. So on the first day of the month, I went from up 80,000 to up only 20, and that for me right there was my trigger. So that got me so upset, I refused to stop trading until I had recouped the losses, you know, and I ended up finishing the day down $95,000. So usually I would say things like losing half your profit is a trigger. In fact, it is. The problem is right now, the second I close that trade and realize I've lost half, I've already crossed the point of no return. And that's what I just kind of realized ultimately, to be honest, today. Because I knew I should stop trading, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to stop until I'd made back what I lost. You know, that's that human struggle that we have with coping with loss. I was not at peace with my P&L. I was furious. So when I did that on Monday, a week ago, today, I went down, is today Monday? I don't even know what day of the week it is. So anyways, I went down 100, I was up 20,000, lost 100 grand. The next day I was like, whoa, dude, that was crazy. Okay. You got to press the reset button. Was up 20 something thousand, gave back half, was up only 13 grand. The next day, Wednesday, $30,000. Okay. Thursday, my birthday, was up 27 grand, kind of like today. And in one trade, boom, gave it back. Back to flat. Now, hey, break even. Okay, no harm, no foul. Come back tomorrow. You're break even. Whatever. It is what it is. Come back tomorrow. Nope. At that point, I'd already crossed the point of no return, and I went right into the next trade. Lost 30 grand like that. Then I went right into 2 trades at once, and on one of them was up 25,000, totally fumbled it, ended up finishing break even on it. And on the other one, I was actually up probably about 40,000 on my trade. Didn't even realize how many shares I was holding because I was so just in this state and just adrenaline, trying to aggressively trade the market, just tunnel vision on the level 2, and ended up losing $268,000 in one day. Friday I came in and I started going green. I was up 10,000, and then in one trade I lost 20 grand, down 10 or something like that. Was at my worst down, I think 19 before finishing up 9. And I said, you know what, man, you just need to seriously get off this roller coaster. This is so wild and crazy. As I'm saying all this, I'm seeing out of the corner of my eye, CHCI curling back up, and I can't help but mark out the high and, feel that temptation to go for, one more trade on it. the FOMO. This is FOMO. This is what FOMO is. And stocks like GameStop can be such huge triggers. Having a stock make a crazy move like that, even if you made some money on it, because it's just like, once you've had a move like that, it's so amazing. You just kind of go for it on everything. And the fact is, last week we saw some incredible moves, and this week, the week before last, and last week was a lot of choppiness. And this week, so far, I mean, yes, that's a big move on CHCI from 4 to 8. That's 100% after hours. I only made $2,000 on it because I chased it. I bought it high. I bought it up here for the break of 7, and then added for the break of 8. But when you add high, you've got to sell quick, and then your winners are small, and then you have one loser, and just like that, you give back half your gains. It's I think it's important for me to acknowledge that I am very hard on myself, and I trade very aggressively, and I am very competitive to try to outdo my previous records. And when my performance fails or comes up short, I feel devastated by that. And I don't think that the Super Bowl being last night, I don't think that's different from what a lot of professional athletes experience with a huge drive, a competitiveness. And I think that a lot of them may really enjoy that. They really enjoy, that's kind of like the thrill. It's not just doing it for winning the Super Bowl. I mean, it's the whole journey that's part of the thrill. But for me, I'm beginning to wonder how enjoyable the journey is when I'm getting myself this upset. And I'm definitely in the last 12 months, I would say actually in the last 2 years, starting in like 2019, I have been having some much stronger emotional reactions to trading. And it began when I lost 30 grand on the anniversary of the day my dad died, making that, at that point, basically tied with the biggest loss I'd ever had. And, that began this cycle, this very emotional cycle, which I experienced as a beginner trader as well, and was very, very difficult in those days because I didn't know whether or not I was going to be profitable, and days that were red days or just really bad days were so devastating. But I'm experiencing it again now, and I had it at the beginning of last year. I started January red. February was okay, but I was so upset about the red month, and the red start to the year. March, the market was insane. I didn't do well. I then really recovered very well in April and May, and then into June. And then, I was red in November. Was it November? Yeah, I think it was November. And I didn't do super well in September either. And so, I don't know, each time I kind of am hitting these these bumps, I'm getting myself kind of more and more coiled up in like this, anger. On the one hand, frustration. Every job has frustration. Every single job out there. I'll put up a split screen here. So, every job has frustration, and those frustrations can be strong motivators. It's the challenge of solving a puzzle, and no one enjoys it if it weren't for the challenge of trying to solve it. So, why is it that this has become less of the joy of solving the puzzle of the market each day, and more of a frustration of the losses? And I think that saying it out loud, the problem is because these frustrations and challenges are self-inflicted. They're the result of taking, emotionally fueled trades with too much size, taking way too much risk, and then getting smoked. And so then I get angry with myself because it's my own fault. So it's a little bit different than something like a challenge presented to you. It's like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. It's more like a self-inflicted challenge. I'm digging myself my own hole. why am I doing this again and again? So, I'm just like really having a hard time breaking the cycle. And that's what I need, is to kind of break this cycle that I'm in, this FOMO cycle. Part of me is like, well, once you get back the 300,000 you lost from last week, then you can start to cool back off. But that's silly, because as soon as I make back the 300,000, I'll probably be on such a hot streak. I'll keep going super aggressive, and then I'll end up taking another stupid huge loss off the top. And at the end of the day, the end result of all of this, it's profit. It's not maybe as much as it could be, but I was green last year. I was green last month. Now, I don't think I'm going to be able to say the same thing about February, because I am red in February. This is where I sit right now in February. Let's see. So, it's embarrassing, but it is what it is. And so, day trading is risky, so I'll just put that reminder out there. The way I day trade is pretty risky as well. So, 300,000 gross loss in the red before today. Well, today's not a huge, but average loser $5,000, average winner 1,800, 60% accuracy. It's obviously, that's garbage. It's terrible, but that's because of one huge loss. So, but that's the P&L on the month. Down 100, back up a little bit to down only 48, and then down 316, 307, whatever. So I'm not off to, a super great start. And my goals today, as soon as I faced that first emotional hurdle, I just cracked. And so now, there's a part of me that's like, okay, in hindsight, should I have just stopped trading as soon as I hit 10,000? Like, as soon as I hit my daily goal, just stop and walk away. Typically, I don't want to do that. I usually keep trading until I have some losses. The problem right now is that, I guess just because of the volatility of the market, when I'm having those losses now several times in the last week, it's been like giving back everything I've made, or more than half in one trade. And then just like that, I'm back to emotionally triggered. So the idea of stopping when I'm up 10,000 feels bad, because I'm like, I'm making money. Why would I stop? I stop when I'm starting to lose. But the fact right now is that, as I showed today, I'm not feeling that I'm able. I'm getting myself so worked up that it's not working. One idea is just as soon as I hit my daily goal, stop trading. Another idea could be to kind of, clear the slate and just say, all right, you know what? You're down 300,000 on the month. Just let that sit there, and let's switch the focus to, trading with 1,000 shares, a true rehab, trader rehab, small size, stuff like that. That's hard for me to want to do, because it essentially guarantees that I'm going to be sitting with the big loss this month. If we do end up having a really strong couple of stocks that rip up, it's going to be really hard for me to watch them moving without wanting to jump on with bigger size. So, that's FOMO speaking 100%, but it's also from a place of, logically, when things do start to open up, I want to be able to capitalize on them. And I need to, now that I've had these losses. But today the market wasn't that hot. So the last trades I took, I had CHCI, which I made 4,500 on, then lost half of it. And I had AEI, which I was trading, and so someone in the chat room, I was starting my recap, and someone was like, hey, AEI is halted going up. And I looked at it, and I was like, okay. So I saw it halted up. I looked at the daily chart, recognized the potential on it, and saw the float. I was like, okay, I don't see a catalyst, but that's fine in this market. We've seen these big moves without catalysts. So I was like, oh, that's okay. So I took a starter. It was lower volume at the time. It was around, I want to say 9, or was it 10? I don't remember now. But anyways, I think it was 9 or 10. So anyways, I took a starter. It was at 10. and it squeezes up to 1049 and halts. It then gaps up and squeezes up to 1211 and halts, and I sold half at 1211. It then squeezes up to a high here of 1435, and on the resumption from that halt, I added back at 1250, at 1350, at 1380, at 12, and then I bought the dip at 1213. So it popped up here to a high of 1435, and at that point, because I had added back, I'd added back at 1250, 1339, and 1350, and then it flashes down here in these two candles to 1213, and it was on the halt level down, but the ask, there was only one order there, and I was like, this looks to me like a false halt. And so we've had those false halts down that then rebound and rip back up. So I actually bought that dip at 1213, but because I was expecting that false halt rip, I added into the squeeze up here at 1463. So I was adding at 1371, 1455. And yeah, so I sized up going into that halt. I put out a bunch of orders. Some of them filled, some of them didn't. Then on resumption from that halt, I had an order initially, I think at 15 or 16, and then I thought it was going to gap higher. It looked like it was going to. Then I canceled it, and then it dipped, and then I added on the dip. It rips up here to 16, then up to 17. I haven't sold here, and I got a partial fill at 1507. I got a little bit more off the table. Actually, I got like 4,000 shares sold at 1585. I got some at 1603, but then I was adding right back. As soon as I sold, I was adding basically right back. And then I would sell a little bit more, but then I would add back. And my highest add on this, I see ads up here around 17. Did I get higher? I added at 1706, 1720. Now I did get some profit out in the 1738, 1740, and that was the spot where I remember being like, I was telling myself to hold the whole thing. I was like, hold the whole thing. You're not selling. You're holding this. You don't want to sell. Hold this. Hold this. And then because I knew I was in with too big of a position, I was like, no, I was like dealing with that internal conflict of hold it for the big move. This is going to be that home run. This is awesome. This looks really good. And then what if it's not? And so that type of stuff, when I trade with size that's too big, I start to deal with those. That's where I start to get conflicted, and I'll freeze, or I'll just be like, I shouldn't sell, but I sell, and then I get right back in, and then I hold, and then I'm upset that I held, and now it starts dropping, and I'm like, well, now what do you do? Do you add? Do you average down? Well, you're already in with full size. You really shouldn't. And so, I wish today that I had capped my size, at like, I don't know, 10,000 shares or something. I just was trading too big. And when you start trading big like that, you start getting erratic, because when you're in big and all of a sudden you get a panic flush, I panic. You can't hardly help but panic when you're in big. And then it pops back up and you're like, okay, my God, I should get out break even. You get out break even, for instance, and then it rips higher, and then you're like, no, why did I get out break even? It was still a good setup. And then you get back in high, and then it drops again. And that's where you just are not centered, because the P&L is now, the numbers are so big, they're kind of throwing you off. So this was a nice move from 10 up to 1748. And I was adding here, and I was like, this looks good. And then this candle right here, it flushed from 1714 to 1463. It just, whoosh, and it halted going down. And even though I had gotten some of my position out up here in the 1730s, I had then added back at 1720 and 1563. So I then had added back what I sold, or at least I don't know, there's so many orders here, but I added back, and then I added at 1453, but then it did halt, Then it drops here down to 1308. Now I'm down like 4 points off the high, and I'm in high. It bounces up to 15, and I'm like, okay, I need to start, on the one hand, I need to start unwinding some of this to reduce risk, but if it holds up, I'll add back. So I'm kind of like unwinding the trade, but then I'm also adding when I see moments of strength. And, then it ends up, now it's back at $9, and I was even holding into after hours. It halted down here at 12.74, and I was still holding 7,500 shares from like $15. It opened and dipped to 10. I'm down, 5 points. 5 times 7 is 35,000, or, it's like, and then it curls back up. I added for the curl back up, average down. And this was just a very sloppy trade. Now, on the one hand, from the initial entry of $10 and even the add at 12 or 14, this was a good look. I just kept adding. This was probably the type of stock like CHCI that had the best chance at giving me a big winner given how much it was moving. CHCI, I was really late to the game on. But, when I see something like that, especially knowing kind of how high the stakes are, in that if I catch one of those and, I get it the right way, it's going to work really well. And, I was too conservative to take big size initially. And so then I didn't take big size until it was up too high. And then by that point, all of a sudden we get this flash down, then a rip back up, and it's just getting sloppy. And so, I put my money where my mouth is, and I was green on AEI, and I gave back, I'm up 24,000 on it, which is not bad, but I think I was up unrealized like 80 grand, 90 grand. It's like maybe 100. This was a 8-point trade, $9 a share or $8 a share from 10 to 17.50. And and this is exactly what I did on Sino last week. This is exactly what I did on Sino. What day was this? I don't even remember. But on Sino, was this just on? No, that was today. This would have been Friday. I can't remember what day it was. In any case, this is almost exactly what I did on Sino. On Sino, we had this big rip pre-market, and it just squeezes. And some of you guys were watching. I was just like, did I seriously just lose like $65,000, $70,000 off the top? And that's what I did. I don't know why the chart's not loading. Anyways, it was right here. Same thing. This is the same thing. Same basic thing. I bought and added and added and added and added. And then as it came back down here, I went from up, I think 90,000 on the day to like up only 10 grand. It's not realistic to expect that every stock is going to do this. GME, straight up on these days when it went straight up. And that's the FOMO, that I didn't fully capitalize on that. And now anytime I see something popping up, I'm like, I'm going all in. And I'm just getting super frustrated with myself. You guys can tell. I was live on YouTube earlier, and the general, feedback was, you're an idiot, and look at you trading like garbage, and you're buying way too high, and that's a terrible entry. Why are you adding so high? And it's, it's brutal, but it's, it's not wrong. Those are bad entries. They're bad entries. However, those same entries on GME were money in the bank because it kept going higher and higher. But that's not the market we're in right now. And these aren't the same stocks as GME. That was totally different. So, I don't know. I'm just kind of at a loss, I guess, in a way. Roller coaster opens tomorrow, 4 a.m. But I should try to be positive. All things considered today, while today was a total mess, from an emotional perspective, let's try to look at the glass half full here, shall we? So, if we look at the glass half full, what are some positive things that we can say? Now, I'm not trying to, or like sweep the losses under the carpet. I'm not trying to just lie to myself. I'm not trying to not be responsible or take responsibility for the fact that I created a set of rules and I didn't follow them, because I am upset about that. But on the other hand, I think that it's obviously the case that my presumption that I could be, go from up X amount to break even was wrong, or that I could give back half my profit and keep and know to stop was wrong. I think that I'm fortunate that I'm only down $3,000, and that I probably on AEI could have lost, $30,000 on it. I mean, I lost a lot off the top. I could have gone all the way back to red on it. So let's say today was a, run around the racetrack that was very squirrely. And now the market is closed, and I have an opportunity to step back and ask myself, what just happened? With OCGN, with AIE, with CHCI, with Sino, with the 15 different stocks I traded today. Was today really hot? Was the market really hot today? I don't know. OCGN is a tricky one. Sava was, obviously there was a couple parabolic moves, but it was a little trickier. I hate to say this. I hate to say this. I don't even want to say this out loud. But I think that I need to put myself into trader rehab in a serious way. And I hate to do it. The reason I don't want to do it is because I check myself into trader rehab, and then I'm basically guaranteeing, if I email Rob right now, I could email Rob and say, hey, so let's say, hey Rob and team, because I'll email the service desk, can you set up the following limits on my account? Max share size, max order size, max daily loss. I said if I was down 10,000, I would stop trading. That happened today. I didn't stop trading because, I was too emotionally fueled. So daily max loss. But if I'm going to focus on trader rehab, so the problem is, why I'm resistant to always doing this is because I'm sometimes afraid that it's going to only fuel the FOMO cycle, because if I limit myself to X share size, for a week, even though I probably need 3 weeks of trader rehab, if I limit myself to that share size, my concern is that that's the dang moment we're going to see the next GME. And I know in a hot market how quickly I can make 50,000, 100,000 in a day. No question about it. But not with 2,000 shares. So, that's the reason. That's the reason I don't want to put those restrictions on my account, because once I do it, then if something starts to open up, I do have to email them. It takes them some time to go in. I got to log out, log back in, and that process is kind of like putting a credit card in the freezer in a block of ice. It slows you down from spending, if that's why people do it. So that process of having to email them, it would slow me down. Realistically, while it's definitely possible that we could have something that just kind of goes bananas, given the market we've been in, so the question there is, I'm like, this isn't a good time to go into rehab. But what if I was down 75,000 today? what if OCGN had gone just horribly wrong? What if AEI had just, I don't know. Sometimes these stocks, these recent IPO stocks, and we've seen this before, sometimes, and even GBR, sometimes when these turn around, you're starting to get huge gaps to the downside, and you're talking about 10, 15 point losses. Something like that with 20,000 shares, I'd be down, 50 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand. So this is an opportunity right now where it's never a good time to sort of go into this trader rehab. And yes, I could also, say that I could do a small account challenge. But the thing with a small account challenge is that's its own kind of pressure, and I'm not in a place where I think that I want to add that pressure. Something I said. Something I said last night, which I actually just remembered, I said that if I made money by breaking my rules, trading like FOMO and being too aggressive, that I would give away whatever I made. So to be honest, everything I made in this account right here at 36,000, all of that was past the point of I should have stopped. And to be honest, everything I lost back here past 37 is too. So I don't have to donate anything. I could say that. I could also say that I could also say I should just stop down minus 37. But of course, I did recoup it. But I think what I'm going to say is because that was breaking the rules, that 36,000, I'm going to donate. Because that shouldn't be a victory. I was being too aggressive on all of those trades. So I don't get to keep that. So I'm going to donate 36,000. And maybe what I'll do is just keep doing that. But that doesn't really help. That doesn't really help me all that much in the moment. From breaking the rules, and that's not a substitute for a trader rehab. So the question is, what's my max share size and max daily loss? How much do I have to throttle back in this rehab? Do I have to go all the way down to 1,000 shares? Am I okay at 10,000? Am I okay at 20,000? Considering my max share size this past month has been 100,000 shares, going down to 2% of that at 2,000 feels certainly like silly. I got to think on this a little bit. I don't know what the answer is. It's really hard. It's a tough one. I get myself too throttled back, and then while I'll have a few days of kind of clearing the slate, I'm just gonna start getting more and more frustrated that it's like watching myself getting lapped by other people. Like, all right, I'm driving at 4 miles an hour. Okay, I think I'm ready to, speed up a little bit. It's a challenge. This is the biggest struggle with trading, guys. And this is why some people just can't do it. And I wonder if there's going to be a point where even I am just like, for whatever reason, I just I don't know. I think that I'm going to get better with age, because I think that my ability to be disciplined and kind of have composure will get better. And it feels like it has been getting better, except the last 2 years have been worse. So I don't really know. Depends how big of a picture you look at. Oh. I don't know. So, anyways, that's my recap for today. Rome wasn't built in a day, and my $300,000 in losses won't be recouped in one day. Not when I'm trading like this, because I'll make 100 grand, then I'll lose 100 grand, then I'll make 50, then I'll lose 50. And that all of that just continues to roll, this like the stress snowball. So I don't know. I guess maybe it's also worth, noting that I haven't taken a vacation since. Not to say I didn't go away and travel, but I was always trading. I haven't taken a week off of trading since the fall of 2018. Maybe I'm just kind of burnt out and need a little bit of a break. But, it's hard to want to take a break when you've got this big hole to come back to. So that's where I'm like, let me just get back the losses, then I'll take a break. I'm nothing else I have to say right now. So this is where I'm at for today. This is my recap. Tough day. I'll be back on tomorrow. And that right there was an entire video with no ads. I don't monetize my YouTube channel with video ads, which means you guys get to enjoy the content. But do me a favor, please hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up and let YouTube know that this channel is the channel to watch if you want to learn about day trading.